down to the beach house with the fam. We just did a pit stop at KFC. And yeah, so this video is the labour story video and the birthing story. I was going to do this on my camera, but I got in the car and my camera said I needed to charge the battery. So I'm doing it on my phone, so fingers crossed this works and it's not too bumpy. Let's get into it. So it all started, what was the date on the Saturday? 14th was a Monday? 12th?
Yep.
So on the 12th. I had gone in on the 12th in the morning to get a balloon catheter put in to see if my labour would start on its own and if I would just go into labour naturally. This was at 41 weeks and I don't know, I think maybe 3 days around there, correct me if I'm wrong. 41 and 3 days. This was my longest labour. With the other two, I had given birth at 38 weeks. So I thought by now this kid would be here. Anyway, so I went in, put the balloon catheter in, and the midwife said that I might see a little bit of like spotting, but nothing too serious. If it's anything more, just to let her know. Anyway, that day we dropped the kids off at my mum's house because the midwife had told us that the next morning at 6 AM I would have to go into the hospital regardless. So we dropped the kids off at my mum's house. Actually, no, we didn't drop them off. My mum picked them up. My mum picked them up. We went to the hospital, got the balloon catheter put in. We went and had some lunch, went home, and Andrew actually had his cousin's engagement that night, and I said I wasn't going to go because I thought I would have a newborn by then. Obviously I didn't. Anyway, so I said to Andrew, you go for a couple of hours and if anything I'll just call you. So throughout the day I was feeling a little bit of pain, nothing too serious. Andrew went to the engagement and then at around I think 9:30 or so I was noticing there was a lot more blood. Alright guys, sorry, I'm going to have to keep taking breaks because my arm is hurting and the baby is a bit unsettled as well, so bear with me. Anyway, so I think I was up to that night, so it was about 9:30ish I think, and I had gone to the bathroom and I had seen a fair bit of blood, like more than what there should be. So I called the midwife and I explained, you know, what was happening, and she was like, you need to come in immediately, go through the emergency department because the hospital was closed at that time, and come up to the labour ward. So I called Andrew, he quickly rushed home. We took everything with us, like I had my bags already packed. We took it all with us because I just knew I wasn't going to be coming home that night. So took everything with us, got to the hospital. I think we got to the hospital at 10:30 or 11, around there. And we had gone up into the labour suite, into the birthing suites. Once we were in there, I don't really remember this part very well. Did we go into the birthing suite and they put the monitor on me?
Yeah, so we went into the birthing suite and then they transferred us to the ward because they needed some of the beds.
Yeah, that's right.
So they went to undertake some tests on you to find out if there was any of the waters had broken.
That's right. Because I am GBS positive, once my waters break, I need to be on antibiotics, so they were monitoring that. So yeah, that's right, now it's coming back to me. So I had the monitors on so they could track the baby's heart rate, and they had realised that the blood was actually, my waters had actually broken a little bit, so that was making it look like there was more blood than what there actually was. So my waters had broken and the baby had turned. So the baby was head down the entire time, but because the balloon catheter, I think the balloon catheter is what moved him. So he was head to the left and legs to the right. And they said if by morning he doesn't turn, we have to schedule an emergency cesarean because we can't induce you if he's not head down. Okay, I'm going to need another break. I'll be back. Okay, so they had told me I would need an emergency cesarean if the baby doesn't turn by the morning. So, no joke, from I think it was like 11:30 or midnight until about 4 or 5 in the morning, I was bouncing on a damn medicine pool trying to get this baby head down. In the meantime, I had also had like a cry to Andrew because I didn't want a cesarean. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to need a cesarean. He's not going to turn by the morning. And I was, you know, I was not happy about it. Anyway, come morning, the midwife checked me and he had actually turned. So he was head down and they said, we can schedule, like we can start your induction now. He's head down, you know, get the ball rolling. Now, let me note that this is my third induction now. I had an induction with Catherine, an induction with Harry, and this is going to be my third induction. So I knew the process, I knew what was going to happen. I was prepared for that.
Correction, I was saying the baby is head down because we didn't know the gender at the time. So. Oh
yeah, sorry. The baby is head down, not he is head down. I say he now because obviously I know it's a boy. Anyway, so they started the induction. What time did they start the induction? Hang on 1 second, the kids want something. Yes, Catherine and Harry. Oh. Alright, let me get you wet ones. Okay, hang on. We'll be back. Okay, now we're back. So they started the induction at, so this was now Monday, so no, this was Sunday. So I had gone in Saturday at around 11 p.m. So now this is Sunday morning. I think it was, what time did they start?
Roughly 8 o'clock.
The induction? Or they moved me at 8 o'clock?
Roughly there, 8, 9 o'clock.
Yeah, but did they start the induction at that time?
What possibly?
Okay, maybe they started the induction around that time. I think it was like 9 o'clock they started the induction. Now I'm not, this is where Andrew has to take over with the times because I don't really remember anything about the times. So they started my induction at, let's say, 9 a.m. or 9:30 a.m. And when you are induced, you're automatically in active labor. So your body doesn't have time to get those contractions going slowly. You're just automatically from 0 to 100, okay? So the induction started and then I was in active labor for how many hours before I got the epidural?
I think it was 2 or 3 this time around.
So 2 or 3 hours I'm in active labor and then I got the epidural. The epidural took
probably an hour all up to start working by the time the...
No, but how long did it take to put it in?
A good, between half an hour to 45 minutes.
Oh my God, he just couldn't get it in. The epidural was not working, and this had actually happened with Catherine as well. So he was explaining to me that I've got like some bone at the bottom of my back, or like muscle, tissue or something, that it's hard for them to be able to find the spot to put the epidural in. So the same thing happened when I had Catherine. So it was like deja vu. Anyway, that's a story for another day. So the epidural went in at, let's say, 1 p.m. Andrew, would you say around there? 1 p.m. I think the epidural was in. Maybe midday.
Yeah, roughly that time.
Look at the traffic on the other side. There's traffic going home. Anyway, so it was around 12 p.m. 12 p.m., 1 p.m. The epidural kicked in. We were smooth sailing. It was all good until the baby's heart rate started dropping. So his heart, I didn't know it was a he. So the baby's heart rate was dropping and it wasn't coming up quick enough with every contraction. So every contraction that I was having, the heart rate was dropping and it was taking too long to come back up, and they were monitoring that. So because that was happening, they decided to turn the machine off that was inducing the labor, so the oxytocin, and they were just going to let the labor run its course naturally because the contractions are so heavy and so strong when you are induced. They thought that maybe that might help with the baby's heart rate. So they turned that off. Andrew, what time did they turn it off, roughly?
I'd say 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think you ran a good stretch without
it, yeah. So maybe like 2 p.m, 2 or 3. It would have been around there. And they left it off until 8 p.m?
Yeah, 8 or 9 p.m.
Yeah, so they left it off for a while. It was off. So the oxytocin was off and I was just going off my natural contractions at that stage. However, the heart rate thing was still happening. It was still dropping and taking so long to come back up. And they were telling us throughout the day, you know, we might have to consider a cesarean. Just keep that in the back of your mind, that we might have to consider a cesarean depending on how we go. And I just kept saying to them, please, I don't want a cesarean. I've had 2 natural births. I really don't want a cesarean because I just know the recovery time. And to be honest, I've never had a surgery before. Never. My first time in a hospital was when I was giving birth to Catherine. I've never had a surgery. I've never done any of that. So I think I was more scared because from not having a surgery to going into a major surgery, I was just scared. Anyway, so I was like begging them, and the midwives were lovely. They were like, look, we're not going to give you a C-section unless it's absolutely necessary. So I was like, all right, cool, let's just keep going and hopefully, you know, this baby comes out. So then they turned on the oxytocin at around 8-9 p.m. again. I'm sorry guys about this phone thing as well because I've got to use my hands.
So before they turned the oxytocin back on, they wanted to do a few tests on the baby. First they asked for our consent to be able to take a little blood sample from the baby's head to test
the oxygen levels?
Oxygen levels, but I think they were taking folic acid just to see if, because the baby's heart rate was dropping, they kept saying the word, there's cord, meaning that either the cord was wrapped around the baby or the baby was holding onto the cord, and every time there was a contraction, the cord would compress, and obviously not allow for the required amount of blood from mum to baby.
So I think that's why it took so long, the heart rate was taking so long to come back up. Is that why? Because the cord?
Yeah,
the baby?
It all had to do with the cord,
yeah.
But they asked to do a little procedure, and we were quite hesitant to allow blood from the baby's head to be taken.
Yeah.
But we weighed up benefits against the risk. If, you know, we wanted to carry on and pursue going for a natural labour, then we needed to ensure that the baby was getting enough oxygen and nothing was going to happen to the baby, because
that's the last thing that we'd want.
Yeah, the ultimate was to have a healthy baby at the end of the day. So
they did that test twice, no?
Yeah, the first time they did the test.
So they measure the levels, and there's like a danger zone. Yeah,
so they give you a scale between 1 to 4, and if it's 4 after the test, if it's a 4, then the baby's not receiving what it should, and you obviously have to go for a C-section. At that stage when they did the test, maybe 7:30 p.m. They gave us a 1, which everything was okay, and they said we could carry on if we wanted to. So that was some good news, and
that's when they started, no?
Yeah. So then they restarted the oxytocin, and we wanted to see if you would further dilate from that point.
Because let me just add, and I really thought I would dilate more because with the other 2 kids, when I had the oxytocin, I had dilated pretty quickly, especially with Harry.
It wasn't the oxytocin. You had the oxytocin with the other 2 for quite some time. It was the epidural that sped up.
That's right.
Sped up the dilation process.
Because my body had relaxed.
With this one here, you were 6 centimeters for quite some time, and
like the whole time.
Yeah, you weren't.
I didn't go past 6 centimeters.
Yeah, although they did keep saying that the cervix was getting
softer,
and stretchier,
and effaced or something. You know, I think when it's like pushed back, I was like effaced, and they're like, you know, it's really good that you're that, whatever that means. You just need, we just need to make sure you're dilating, but it was 6 centimeters anyway. So they started the oxytocin at, let's say, 8 p.m. again, and they just kept monitoring. Anyway, and I was like trying all different positions with the peanut ball, like on my knees, everything, trying to dilate, like just trying my hardest. Anyway, was it like 10:30, 11 when the doctor came in? 10:30, 11 I think it was, around then.
That was it, yeah. It happened when
the big doctor came in.
Oh, the doctors changed over.
Yeah.
So another doctor came, took the handover from the previous doctor, Yeah.
explained my situation to them.
Learned the story, read the paperwork, discussed with the doctors and the midwives, and then came into the room and heard our side of the story as well and what we wanted to achieve. And yeah.
So that was when she pulled the chair up though, and I just knew. So it was like 11 p.m, I think, around there. She had checked me again, still 6 centimeters, and
they did another test.
They did another test for the oxygen. That came back okay though, no, but it had risen a little bit.
Just risen a little bit,
yeah.
But it was
still safe zone.
Still safe. Yeah.
But then what had happened was she came in, so the doctor came in, and I saw her pull up like her wheelie chair and sit next to me. And in that moment, I just knew. I was like, this is not good. Like, she's going to tell me I have to have cesarean. So, I know. She pulled her chair up, and I knew it was not going to be good news. And she said to me, so the baby has pooed inside of you, which could mean an infection for the baby and also for you. There was blood in my urine, and the baby's heart rate is dropping quite low, and the baby seems to be distressed because, again, the cord, they're like, the baby's either holding the cord or the cord's wrapped around somewhere. There's an obstruction with the cord and it's not causing enough oxygen. Is that right? There are 3 reasons? Yep. There are 3 reasons. And she's like, I would highly recommend that you start to consider a cesarean because we don't know how much longer, this could take. And I was still 6 centimeters. And she said to me, I can't force you to have one, but that is my professional opinion on what you should do. And I was like, well, you sort of are forcing me because what choice do I have? What am I going to do? And she said, I can't force you, but if you don't have a cesarean, we don't know, what the repercussions could be with the baby. Like, if the baby will be born healthy, touch wood, if the baby would even be born, alive. There's lots of things that they consider. And so it was a no-brainer for us because at the end of the day, we just needed the baby to come out healthy, and that was the end of it. Anyway, so I had a cry, had a little bit of a breakdown, but then I laughed because Andrew had to wear those scrubs. So that got me laughing a little bit. He put the scrubs on. They wheeled me into, so they covered like all my piercings and stuff, my jewelry, took all my jewelry off. And I was the only emergency cesarean. I was the only cesarean that night. And because it was an emergency cesarean, they were putting me in as priority. So there was no like fluffing around. It was straight away going into theatre. Now at this stage, they took Andrew away while they were prepping me for theatre. And I remember being in this little room. So before that, they took me from my room in the bed through the hospital corridors. And I remember thinking to myself, this is like a horror movie. Like, the hospital was closed. There was no one in there because it was out of visiting hours. It was like midnight, 12, something like that. Can you hear the kids whispering? Because we told them not to talk while we're recording. Anyway, they wheeled me through the corridors, and I thought it just looked like a horror movie. And then they took me to this little room where the anaesthetist was going to put in a heavier epidural, so I'm completely numb. Obviously because I was going into theatre, for a surgery. So my anaesthetist was lovely. He was really, really good. He was really reassuring, just telling me, he's like, don't worry, don't stress, people get these done all the time. As long as you and the baby are good, you'll be fine. Anyway, Andrew wasn't with me at this stage, and then I remember they opened like these 2 doors and they wheeled me in, and that was the operating room. And I remember being so scared because I could just see the surgeon walking around, and I didn't even look left or right. I was like, I'm not looking, I don't want to see anything, just do what you got to do. I'm not looking. So they put the sheet in front of me. Hang on, I think Harry's calling Andrew. Yes, Harry. 15 minutes, okay? Yeah, it's not a long time. We're almost there, okay? No, it's not. We're going to be there very soon. Okay, so, yeah, they wheeled me into theatre. Anyway, they put the sheet up in front of me, and then I think they must have started working on me, and I remember saying to the anaesthetist, where's my husband? And then they brought Andrew in, but they brought Andrew in, they had already started, the procedure. And then Andrew came in and he sat at my head, like where my head was.
They forgot about me.
Yeah. Maybe they forgot about him. I don't even know. I was, to be completely honest, I was totally out of it. This was now Sunday midnight. So I had been in hospital from Saturday midnight, and I hadn't slept from the night before, obviously, because I didn't sleep Saturday night. So the last time I slept was Friday night, and I was just exhausted. I was pumped with medication, and yeah, I was just out of it. So Andrew came in, he sat next to me, and I also was throwing up. I don't know from what, maybe from the medication, maybe from the nerves, I don't know. And to be honest, it did not take long for them to take the baby out. I think it was like 10 minutes, maybe. It's like 10 minutes. It was really quick where they took the baby out. And so the surgeon was like, because they told the surgeon we didn't know what the gender was, and the surgeon said, all right guys, are you ready to find out what you've had? And I was so out of it. I was just like, yeah, I was just half asleep. And so they put him, it was like the Lion King, so they put him like on top of us, over the sheet, and I could see, obviously, like 10 minutes, Harry, I could tell obviously that it was a boy, and they're like, it's a boy, and I was so happy. And I remember I started crying. I did start crying. Yeah, I did. I started crying, and they put him like near my face. Is that right? Yeah, they did. They put him near my face, and I think I kissed his face or something. And then all I remember after that was Andrew saying to me, Jenna, wake up, wake up. That was after he came out, yeah?
We took him to the table and cleaned him up a little bit.
Yeah, see, I don't remember any of that.
And brought him back to you and gave you a little bit of time together.
Yeah, see, I don't remember that. I just remember him being near me.
And then I took him after that.
Yeah, and before you took him though, wasn't I falling asleep?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was falling asleep because I remember Andrew saying, wake up, Jenna, wake up. And I was so exhausted, I was just like, just shh, like leave me. And then, so Andrew took the baby with the midwife. They went to do like the weighing and all that in another room. And all I remember is I had like a panic attack on the table, like on the operating table. And I said to them, how long is this going to, like, first I said, can you move the sheet back? The sheet is on my face. And the anaesthetist was like, no, it's not on your face. It's pretty far back. I'm like, no, you need to move it. Like, it's really, really close to me. Move it off my face. I felt like it was coming, like, onto me. And then I said, how long is this going to take? I need to get up. And they're like, no, we're almost done, you know, don't worry. And that's all I remember. I think I blacked out after that. Andrew thinks that they gave me like a medication, because there's a medication that they give you like to calm you down. Is that right? To calm you down? Or to forget?
Yeah, I mean, the anaesthetist there, he opened up a drawer and you had a whole heap of medication, so they would have given you a nice cocktail of drugs just to keep you...
Yes, and Andrew also is in the pharmaceutical field, so he knows about these medicines, so it's not just coming out of nowhere, guys. We're not just like spitting crap now. So they did give me something, because I don't remember anything after that. I was like completely out of it. And all I remember after that is them saying 1, 2, 3 and transferring me over to the bed to wheel me back to where the baby was. So yeah, then the baby, the midwife brought the baby to me. The midwife was lovely that we had as well at the end. She was really nice. All my midwives are really lovely.
All 3 kids.
Yeah, all 3 kids I had really, really positive experiences with my midwives. Obviously my labour wasn't what I wanted it to be with Theodore, but you know, it is what it is. He was healthy, I was healthy. It could have been much worse, so I just had to come to terms with that, and that did take a while. I actually think I'm still like processing that. Alright, so just a little break for our video. we're driving and this song came on. This is like the best summer song while you're driving. So picture you're driving now, you're heading to the beach with the windows down and the sun shining, and this song is on.
I'll be riding shotgun underneath the hot sun, feeling like a song.
What a song. Anyway, we'll get back to this labour story in a second. Andrew just needs to find a petrol station because we are on 4 kilometres and we're more than 4 kilometres away from the house.
Things are not looking good.
We'll be back. Alright guys, crisis averted. We are at a petrol station. Andrew is putting petrol now and we are almost at the beach house, so I've got to cut it a bit short. I will get back to the video in a couple of minutes. Okay, we got our petrol and we are back on the road. Now we don't have long because, like I said, we are almost at the house, so I'm going to wrap it up. That was pretty much the birth and labour story. I did put on Instagram that I was going to let people ask me some questions. Now, I took a screenshot of the questions on Andrew's phone because I'm now recording on my phone. A lot of the questions were like, did you go into labour naturally? I think I've answered that in my video. Another question was this labour different to my other 2 labours? Indeed it was. My other 2 labours were natural labours. However, it was similar in the sense where I got induced with all of them. But this was obviously a cesarean, not what I wanted. Like I said, the recovery has been so much longer. But the scarring and stuff is very minimal. I thought it was going to be really big. It's barely there yet.
Yeah, at the start it looked bigger than what it was because of the
bandage and the bruising.
The bruising, the bandage, the colour that it had. But
yeah, it's tiny.
It's actually surprised me.
It's like tiny. Anyway, it wasn't even about that. It was more about just having a major surgery as my first ever being under the knife. But anyway, another question was, how did we choose the name? We had a boy and a girl name ready to go. We found choosing a boy name was actually harder than choosing a girl name. However, I have always loved the name Theodore. I think it's just a beautiful name. It means God's gift as well, which I just think is it's so beautiful. And I just love the name. And I told Andrew the name as well. At the start it took a while for it to grow on Andrew, but he ended up loving it too. So that's why we called him Theodore. The next question was, how did it feel not finding out the gender? So we found out the gender with Catherine and we found out the gender with Harry. I am confident in saying that I loved not knowing the gender, and I know Andrew as well agrees.
Yeah, it was actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to. Take the pain away in a sense, having something to look forward to at the end of the game. It was just
amazing. It's just so beautiful not finding out. And I think it's easier said than done because we did have one of each. So going into it, we knew like we've got a girl, we've got a boy. I was prepared for either. I've got the clothes at home, you know, it didn't really matter. But yeah, it was so fun. Would highly recommend.
I think for a first or second child,
we wouldn't be able to do it.
It'll be a lot more difficult to stay unknowing for 40 weeks. Yeah. But having one of each and
being the third.
Well, being the third, not only that, but day-to-day life, looking after other kids as well. Your mind is off the gender of the next baby.
You're so occupied.
You're very occupied. So before you know it, 40 weeks was up and we had something to look forward to.
Yeah.
A little surprise.
We loved not knowing. The next one is 2 to 3 kids hard? That was the next question. To be honest, I covered the camera. To be honest, I think 1 to 2 was harder than 2 to 3. Would you agree?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, I think the third one just sort of fits in. Like it's like you've always been here, and you're more confident in your parenting. You know what you're doing. You know, it's just easier. Well, I found it easier anyway. This was the July shop, Andrew. We got from last one.
Just to add to that, it's the second kid's not at your feet every day. When you have your third one, the first 2 kids can go on and
occupy themselves,
play with each other, and leave you alone. So you can do what you need to do with the baby, feed the baby, etc. So it was easier in that sense.
And also, Catherine is at the age where she's like a little helper, which does make it easier too, I think.
Yeah. She's been
yeah.
a great help running around getting what you need when I'm at work or can't help you out.
Yeah. And the kids are obsessed with him, so I think it's just a beautiful, like the 3 is perfect. Yeah, 2 to 3 was definitely less hard than 1 to 2. And I had one more question, which was, when is baby number 4? Bless you, Harry. Now, I never say never. However, hang on a second. All right, guys, sorry. Harry sneezed like 3 or 4 times, and you know, it was a big problem. Hang on. If you're wondering what parenting, like going on a trip with 3 kids is like, this is a good indication. Anyway, so when is baby number 4 coming? It's not. We are done, guys. I am always going to get clucky. For the rest of my life, I'll always get clucky. And Andrew loves kids. I think Andrew, if I said let's have a 4th, you would have a 4th. He's going to act like he wouldn't. He 100% would have a 4th.
Look, I like kids. It's just,
yeah, he would have a 4th. Our mental state.
Like it's running thin.
Like, look, we're trying to record and you've got this kid. Daddy. Yes, Harry, what's wrong? We're going to the beach tomorrow. We're going to the beach house now, okay? We're almost there. Yaya's there with us, okay? If you're a good boy, I might take you to see the water, okay?
Yes.
Okay. Can I finish recording now?
Yes.
Thank you. So, I don't even have to answer the question of, are we done? He just pretty much answered it for us. Do you see why we're done? Because we're like on paper thin with our mental state right now, guys. But yeah, look, I never say never, because you know what they say, you make a plan and God laughs. So whatever is meant to happen is going to happen, but we are pretty confident that we are done with 3 kids. Like, we're happy, we've got 3 healthy kids. So yeah, we're going to turn here.
So shut up the shop.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Anyway, we have literally just arrived at the beach house. We're about to pull in now. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed our little carpool vlog. But I'm going to definitely try and be on YouTube a lot more frequently for 2023. So you'll be seeing a lot more of us. And yeah, that's all from us. Say bye, everyone. Harry, say see ya.
See ya.
And don't forget to subscribe and also like the video, and we'll keep them coming.